on? May 31st, and here to destroy some mainstream news illusions for you today. And first though, probably soon what I'm going to do, I was just contemplating before this video, I want to make all these news updates live videos. That would be a whole lot easier for me, and that way it could just upload right to YouTube. I don't have to worry about the exporting and the uploading part. So once some things get shifted around, once I get a better setup and certain things happen, because there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of things I have lined up, you can expect a lot more of those as well. And anyway, let's get into all the news. First and foremost, the Paris Agreement. I've been seeing things saying that Trump is expected to withdraw the US from the Paris Agreement as early as next week, which is a great thing in my opinion. And I know a lot of people get triggered when it comes to the EPA and climate change or global warming or whatever you want to call it. But I wrote right here, EPA equals bad. EPA is bad, okay? And that's just the thing that triggers a lot of people, but they don't understand. The EPA, not only are they in deep collusion with Monsanto and have let millions of pounds of pesticides absolutely pollute the earth, but the climate change shtick, climate change science is essentially tobacco science, where they pay off a bunch of doctors to go out there with specific narratives. And from all the research that I have personally done, I don't buy the man-made climate change shtick. Now, that's not to say that we aren't absolutely polluting the crap out of our Earth and we need 0-point free energy technologies disclosed yesterday, but I'm not buying the man-made global warming thing, and I think it's all just a ruse for the globalists to get more control through their carbon taxes and their agreements. So what Donald Trump may do is actually withdraw the US, and then I believe I read that the US will be one of a only handful of countries that aren't in these agreements, and some of those countries include Syria, and then I think like Nicaragua or Guatemala or something like that. So it's like the countries that aren't for the whole deep state complex group are the ones withdrawing from this. So that's a good thing to me if he does that. That'd be cool. And then next we're going to get into this right here. This word that Trump tweeted out and caused an absolute shit show in the mainstream media. And that is coffee. So he tweeted this. His tweet actually said, came out last night, and he said, despite the constant negative press, coffee. And then he deleted that tweet, and then soon after that, it looked as if he was making like a cover your ass tweet next, and it said, who can figure out the true meaning of coffee? Enjoy. And that's what he said. And you know, I mean, we all have autocorrect issues, and I know a lot of us have big sausage fingers, and we can't type on these tiny little iPhone screens that are out these days, so I get that. It's difficult. The mainstream media decided to do their thing and use any little thing they can to get, back against this administration. So they did that. But I had a very interesting thing come across my path literally like 5 minutes before I did this video. And just really interesting the way the universe works sometimes. But this little tidbit of info crossed my path, and it's a complete speculation. I don't know the verification status of it. If any of you guys know linguistics out there, let me know, if this is legit or not. But I saw a piece of information actually in multiple places, which is why I wrote it up here, the corroboration of it. But does kafave in ancient Aramaic mean apocalypse? Very freaking interesting. And this actually is pretty cool. It makes a whole lot of sense and makes things a whole lot more interesting, because when Donald Trump says, despite the constant negative press, apocalypse, if this was in fact a super secret 4-dimensional, 5-dimensional chest secret code he threw out there, right? What if? I mean, apocalypse, again, don't get some fear-based reaction to it, from a bad connotation of the word. Apocalypse in Greek just literally translates to revealing or uncovering or disclosing. So bringing the etymology understanding into the picture, despite the constant negative press, revealing, right? What if this was some type of code for a revealing about to take place? Yeah. It's just, I wanted to throw that out there. I want that to speculate in your minds, because ruminate in your minds. I want you to speculate on it, because I think we're really close to some kinds of breakthroughs. I'll actually make more of a point on that through these points I'm going to make, but the way that everything feels right now, the way that the world's going geopolitically, and the way that you see all these disinformation campaigns out there, all the desperate ones in the mainstream media and alternative media and just everywhere, I feel like we're really close to something big happening. And that, this might as very well be some kind of code for it. And I don't know, you can speculate on this as much as you want as well, but I've heard some people say that Donald Trump is involved with the Knights Templar, and this could very well be some, like, Templar code for his secret society buddies. I don't know, but interesting, speculate on that. Now, next, we're going to get into James Comey testifying, and this was broken just a few hours ago, but James Comey plans to testify publicly in the Senate as early as next week to confirm bombshell accusations that Donald Trump pressured him to end his investigation of a top Trump's aide's ties to Russia. So James Comey just won't give up, whether he's being threatened or whether he's doing it upon his own free will to go out there and just not give up and spew a bunch of BS. But he's going to testify to the Senate, okay? And keep that in mind. He's testifying to the Senate. This is a point I'm going to make in a minute. Now let's move down to this point, and this is another thing that broke just today. And this isn't in the Senate Intelligence Committee. This is in the House Intel Committee. So 7 people were subpoenaed by the House Intelligence Committee to discuss that unmasking scandal. Michael Flynn was one of them. Susan Rice, former CIA Director John Brennan was also subpoenaed, and there were some other names thrown in there. But these are the important ones I wanted to write down. So Michael Flynn, Susan Rice, former CIA Director, all subpoenaed to testify in front of the House Intel Committee. And these are all things, they're going to testify again about the unmasking. So it's as if, like, do you see kind of why I'm separating these two? So it's as if the Senate Intelligence Committee won't give up their Russia propaganda shtick. Do you see? So they're trying to go like anti-Trump or anti-administration, or just basically muddy the waters. No matter, I don't like to focus it on Trump per se. A lot of people get attached to the name, but I like to say, okay, they're for the deep state, you'll call it. House Intel Committee, they're trying to get these people to testify about the unmasking, which you could say would help the administration. Especially if Susan Rice came out there and dropped some truth bombs, assuming that their testimonies are truthful. But very interesting to note that the House Intelligence Committee is almost acting for the administration. So I just want to point that out to you, because there is a massive civil war going on in almost like every organization and government and corporation. It's pretty blatant. So it's as if even within our own Congress there's a bifurcation of support and what's going on. So just understand that. And I made the point in my last news update that in the mainstream media we're saying a big split, a big civil war going on. So that was just something interesting that I noticed. So you can put a wrinkle in your brain with that one. And then we get into a couple of my last 2 points here, and a couple of very interesting ones that tie into this revealing going on, which, Donald Trump could have very well meant some type of revealing by tweeting that word real quick. Robert Bigelow, who is an aerospace executive, head of his own company, it's called Bigelow Aerospace, I believe. He just did a 60 Minutes interview. So somehow he got on 60 Minutes, he was asked a bunch of questions, and he blatantly came out and said, he was asked, do you believe in aliens? And he straight up said, I'm absolutely convinced that's all there is to it. And then the interviewer, Laura Logan, asked him, do you also believe that UFOs have come to Earth? To which Bigelow replied, there has been and is an existing presence, an ET presence, and I've probably spent more as an individual than anybody else in the U.S. has ever spent on this subject. Granted, I doubt that, but I'm just saying, he is on 60 Minutes saying these things. That's crazy. And then the interviewer asked him, is it risky for you to say in public that you believe in UFOs and aliens? And he just says, I don't give a damn, I don't care. Wow. So he's literally out there telling people, he's convinced people are real, and he doesn't give a shit what people think. And this, I mean, not only was this on 60 Minutes, which, wow, this was also reported all around the mainstream circuit. I'm looking at a report on the Huffington Post on my computer right now that got 5,000 shares on Facebook just from this article. And then it went around all kinds of media outlets as well. So, again, are we seeing breakthroughs? Are we seeing some kind of revealing finally begin to happen? Are there what you could call white hats or alliance groups? Or, I mean, are there literally people trying to get the truth out as much as they can through, you know, as much of a mainstream audience as they can? Things we have to think about, okay? And that this is a big soft disclosure for the ET presence. But again, there's so much more that they need to tell us. And there's, you know, free energy technologies they need to disclose. There's 80 years of a secret space program that they need to disclose. So there's a lot of catch up we got to do, but this point is just cool because in the mainstream they're trying to prep people. So not only are they prepping people for the aliens, but this is another big revealing, big like, oh my gosh, maybe there's actually white hats in certain organizations trying to get the truth out there. And I'm thinking that because on Netflix, there is a new show called The Keepers. I believe it's a documentary. And it's a documentary that's literally exposing pedophilia and the cover-up of murder in elite circles. So this is about pedophilia, I believe, in the Catholic realm. And, you know, viewer discretion here. But this show is discussing this. Now, I saw this article, I saw this information, I should say, on yournewswire.com, which I'm kind of iffy about that website. Sometimes it can be really clickbaity, but this, I went and watched the trailer for this. I'll link the trailer and that article down below. This article they did seemed pretty legit, and it was kind of sensationally, but what they said in this article was that they actually mentioned one of the main players in this documentary is named Skippy, or they named him Skippy, which I don't know if you've been following the pedocate shenanigans going on, but one of the alleged focal points of the pedogate investigations is John Podesta and his alleged run-ins and dealings with pedophilia and human trafficking. So they're calling him Skippy. John Podesta's nickname is Skippy. Okay? So if this isn't some type of like soft disclosure, blatant in your eyeballs thing, I don't know what is. So they're really, it looks like certain people are trying to get the truth out as much as they freaking can. And I mean, they don't mention John Podesta in this, but they do mention Skippy. That's what I want to say. So it's like, boom, truth in your face. And lots of freaking truth. There's a lot of revealing coming out. There's a lot of disinformation nonsense going on to really muddy the waters. And a lot of people are exposing their agendas right now. But I think we're so close to a freaking breakthrough. And I think we're over, I just feel like we're over a hump, right? On a world scale, on a national scale, on an individual scale, I feel that some type of energetic stuff has gone on the past few days to week or so where we're really over, it's almost like we're over that over the apex. That's a good way to describe it. We're over the apex and breakthroughs are going to occur and it's going to be hopefully a smoother sailing from here. But there definitely is a revealing that's going on. And last point I want to make in regards to all of this, with these disclosures that are seeping out through the mainstream, the most important thing is to make sure that we don't get caught up by the chaos that's going to ensue. And they're going to, I mean, stuff's going to keep ramping up. So my main worry is that we're not fed a little bit of truth with a little bit of misinformation, and the deep elites or whatever you want to call them are able to basically pull some kind of like partial disclosure where they only reveal part of the narrative to satisfy us, but they keep a lot secret. So I'm not into that. I'm into a full disclosure, and there's so much freaking stuff going on that I might even, like I said, I mentioned the live videos, but I might even divvy this up into one news show being like geopolitical stuff and the other news show being just simply science, like science disclosures, because there's a lot that I can't fit into here and fit into a short enough video. But I'm checking out all kinds of things that they're putting out in science and medical journals in the last just few days to a week, and I'm like, man, right? They are just like putting out all kinds of soft, thinly veiled disclosures out there, so it's insane. But anyway, May 31st, there's your news for you. There's my perspectives on it. There's what I can offer for you in this video today. Thank you all for your support, and I freaking love every single one of you. Peace.